My name's Kate Murphy and I've been a member of the Dungog Common Recreation Reserve Land Managers since it was declared in 2014, and from 2019 until January 2022 I was the chair of the Dungog Common Recreation Reserve. The Dungog Common is 650 acres, so that's a square mile on the old scale, of the most amazing terrain right on the edge of Dungog. Our fence is actually bound up to residential properties in the township of Dungog, and the middle of the common's about 2 kilometres from the middle of Dungog township. It's open hillsides, it's some grazing land, there's beautiful bushland areas, lovely creeks, with lots of wildlife, quiet spots. We've got 22 kilometres of bike trails, we've got heaps of kilometres of walking trails, and it's really used very widely by a range of users, range of visitors. We have bike riders obviously, bushwalkers, runners, horse riders, people walking their dogs, people who just want to get away into the peace and quiet of a natural environment and enjoy themselves. Photographers, we have some very enthusiastic photographers that come out and take photographs. And we've got a really enthusiastic land care group that is out here maintaining the common, because they just love it, as we all do. We also have some sculptures here due to a collaboration that we have with Sculpture on the Farm in Dungog. It's just a magical place and I love it. Dungog, as a country town that relies on the tourist dollar to some extent, was obviously impacted by COVID. Cafes, hospitality, businesses were really struggling. Fortunately, right at the beginning of 2020, we had some tourism funding that had been organised through Dungog Regional Tourism, and we built what's called a flow track. We had no idea of what the impact of that would be, but when that first flow track was finished, all of a sudden we had people crowding to come to Dungog, and in the long weekend in June 2020 we had 900 cars in our car park over the 3 days of people coming up here to ride their bikes down the flow tracks. So we were sort of calling it a bike-led COVID recovery, which was pretty amazing. The businesses in town thought it was wonderful. Anyone that loves Dungog thought it was great because it really revived the town and brought a lot of really positive attention at a time that could have been really grim. We all really needed a good news story, and Dungog became that inspiring good news story where a small group of volunteers had created something pretty amazing that had a really, really big positive impact on a town. I guess it comes back to communication, and look, probably in the past we weren't great at the communications, but we had to get better. It's really about trying to get people on board. We have a very strong bike group here, and we have a licensee who manages the trails for us, which is Ride Dungog. So they're obviously involved, sitting around the table talking to us about any concerns that bike riders might have. People that ride horses can raise their own concerns. It's really about communication, about respect for each other, and remembering that the reserve is for everyone and we just need to share it. We mainly use social media, and in that it's mainly Facebook. So we have a Facebook page, which is an outward-facing page, and then we have a group for the users where they can share, information and photos and all that sort of stuff fairly freely if they're members. We also have a website, and we have a lot of information for people intending to come up here. Crown Land made us aware that there was a number of Aboriginal land claims on the common, and also that native title was still in existence. So those issues had to get sorted out. We were advised by Crown Land that the Aboriginal land claim could take some time, 2 or 3 years to resolve. But because the common had been so popular, we had state government were very supportive of the process, so they were able to expedite that process by negotiating directly with the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council and the Karura Aboriginal Land Council, and within a matter of weeks, it was quite amazing, they were able to negotiate an agreement that the common will eventually go over to Karura Aboriginal Land Council. It's a staged handover with a fairly long transition on it, and the main part of it, I think, that most people are taking away from the process is that there won't be any change to people's access to the common. But the big question that I get is, am I still going to be able to go and ride my horse out there? Am I still going to be able to walk my dog out there? Can I still ride my bike? And the answer to all of those questions is yes. And we've found that once people are reassured on that question, they're generally quite accepting of the whole process. You know, there's always going to be that 1% of people that are going to object to something, you know, basically for the sake of objecting it. So you do have to be careful with your communications. But just basically, I think, reach out, make those connections now before you get to the stage where it's all being negotiated. I mean, the land managers themselves can do a lot about creating a good relationship with the Aboriginal Land Council. Yeah, just sit down and talk to people, you know, get to know them, invite them out to get to know you as well. I think that's the main thing, really. And don't be frightened of the process.
So this is an excellent example of a reserve that's really working across all the kind of key pillars of the Crown Land Strategic Plan. They've got really strong relationships with their user groups and building that sense of community connection, and also off the back of their sort of stimulating some sort of economic growth and tourism. There's a strong relationship in place with the Aboriginal community. In fact, this reserve is being handed over in the next 5 years, and that's been managed in a really sort of healthy and cooperative way, which ultimately will benefit the community as a whole. They've managed to really have a focus also on maintaining the cultural heritage of the reserve, as well as the environmental assets. So really across all those kind of key domains, they're doing some really fantastic work, which is really inspiring.